Hi, the internet. Welcome to another game of Fate Dreams End, our Type Moon inspired D&D 5th edition game. Uh, we're just gonna pick right up where we left off. So, super quick recap. Our heroes, Anise and Penelope, have been slowly making their way across Germany on a quest to deliver a potion to what they later determined was a homunculus who needed it to live. After encountering some unsavory characters on a train and then meeting each other. Um, they traveled together with Kwaku, a Japanese spider yokai descended mage with a giant golem named Raps, who was also traveling in this area coincidentally. So the four of you together um, made your way to the nearby castle, or on the way to the castle, the Einzbern castle from actual Fate lore. You spent a night at a saloon where you met a German cowboy named Gunther who informed you that he was, at the very least, friends with one of the Einzberns, known locally as the White Witches, and that she had actually helped him set up that saloon with some money in exchange for support whenever they needed things. And that the last time he'd seen her, she needed help. She was sick and barely capable of mailing her own mail. So he helped her with that. He gave you a room for the night. You also met a necromancer here named Crosby, the bone settler from the Mages Association, who's in the area because of reports of ghost, and he wants to find out what's up with the ghost and take care of that problem before it exposes magic to the world, or at least results in the Mages Association deciding this whole area needs to get memory wiped. Best case scenario, or just wiped. Worst case scenario. He'd rather not do that. So he in turn noticed that the group of you were going to be going into the woods toward the castle anyway, and just asked if he could help out with that on your way. He gave each of you, or the two of you, he gave each of you one of his earrings so that you would be able to interact with ghosts if necessary. So that's nice. Um, you spent the night there where a ghost actually visited you and directed you to some robes under the floorboards and the room that Anise was staying in, which per Gunter is actually the room that the Einzberns tend to stay in whenever they have guests. You got two robes and a halberd, all Einzbern style. When you walked into the forest the next morning, the robes protected you from a bounded field trick that makes it hard to focus and wander your way through the woods. Kwaku was just really, really lucky with a high roll and overcame it long enough to get through. You encountered some small elementals on the edge of the forest, like ice elementals. You defeated them. You found one statue was responsible for super cold, blizzardy weather conditions that were unseasonal, and you fixed the graffiti runes that were placed on it in the elemental blood. So that's cool. Which calmed the snow down a lot. Like it was still snowing, but nowhere near as bad now. You discovered a statue that was a guy with two knives, and when you touched it, you could see the castle in the distance. You could see a barrier around the whole area. You could get the sense that this was the thing that was causing that mental whammy before. So this is clearly part of the mounted field defense system for the area. Cool. You moved in a little bit. You met a bird. The bird, after a quick conversation and the exchange of food, the bird agreed to guide you to the castle, so you followed the bird. You found a third statue, which was of a knight holding a sword. When you got close to it, you felt the world get a bit thinner, which made it feel like maybe mana wasn't working right now. In fact, the magic attuning your equipment stopped working for a second while you were really close to it. It also created a bit of a barrier around that area. Once you passed through that, you continued on. You found a gorge. The gorge had a big pile of dead homunculus bodies and a big, like, skeleton snake living under it. The four of you defeated the skeleton snake, found a rock in the back of its throat, which you pulled out and put in a nearby statue, creating a spear. And when you did that, the spirits from the area seemed to recover a bit. They seem more in line and happy to see you again. You could actually all see them now. And one of those, in turn, guided you up the mountain to a cabin where you found a statue on top of that, which is holding a bow and pointing it over the valley. And you found an old woman who looks like a much older relative of all of the Einzbern ghosts that you met before, who invited you inside. And she was, in fact, the person you needed to deliver a potion to. So you gave her that potion. She drank it. She still looks older than she probably should based on everything you know about homunculi, but she visibly is like shaking less. She's breathing easier. She seems to be on the mend now. And from there, you looked around her place. That's where we're at right now. And she offered to finally clue you in on what's going on. Oh, and I forgot to mention this before. You also noticed a big tree sticking out of the castle in the distance. And when you walked into the woods, some trees attacked you when you threw a rock at them, but due to timing, they couldn't do anything about you. And the trees and everything on the inside feel like they're less real, like they're more depleted of mana, like you can almost see through them, like they're much, much weaker, and that's concerning because this is a powerful ley line and that should never be possible under normal circumstances. So I think I recapped everything relevant. If not, I'm sure we'll cover it as we're talking because it's going to be story time episode.
Yeah.
Did I miss
Yay.
anything? Does anyone have any questions about that stuff before we start?
Old lady has a TV even though she doesn't have electricity because
Oh yes,
Gunther.
yes. It's very clear that Gunter, as a big cowboy fan who also is very grateful to her and her people for helping, has gifted her with a plasma screen in 2005, which is not an inconsiderable gift, and a bunch of cowboy movies that none of which are useful to her at all because she has no electricity out here. Also, as a homunculus, you noticed from just looking around her place, she's got a fireplace, she's got firewood, she has a bunch of, you know, wooden furniture, things that seem to be mostly built with a few things that were clearly gifted to her from the more modern world. And you don't see any bathrooms or running water or any of that stuff. It's super rustic. And as a homunculus, she probably doesn't need one. So
My one question is, what's a holy grail? I'm joking.
I mean, you could. It's a kind of setting where they use the same word for 15 different things, so it's not the worst question in the world.
I'll be right back in like 2 seconds.
You see, the Holy Grail is a giant computer inside the moon that's made of crystals.
But wait, I thought we figured out that it was just a red solo cup.
That is the Florida Holy Grail. That's not the same.
Oh, my B. Wait, so if the Holy Grail, Holy Grail apparently.
I mean, Gail's pretty cool. I never confirmed or denied if Gail was holy, but I could believe it.
The Holy Grail in Germany is a beer stein.
I mean, probably. It might be that thing that Anise is carrying around.
Oh no!
Except she gave it back to that other guy.
Oh no! Waiter's the final boss.
The waiter is the final... That does sound about right. It turns out he's actually just Waiter Velvet in disguise.
Oh no!
Waiting this all out all along.
So he's in this universe. He's Waiter Velvet. But
such is his life.
All right. She's back.
Yay.
Yeah. I think if I actually had to stat out Waver, he would end up being like a really high level wizard, but with no spell slots. So he'd have ridiculously good proficiency with all kinds of things, but he could only use cantrips.
Or ritual cast.
Or rituals. He'd be a ritual caster, absolutely. He can do that. That's all he'd be able to do. Well, if you want to go visit Waver, I guess I know how to make his character sheet now. Poor guy. Being Waver is suffering. Even if he is Grail War MVP.
Alright.
Yeah. So we're here. Chilling. All right, so everybody good? We settled in?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
All right. So where we last left off, she turned to you and she said that let me get the voice back. Channel my inner old lady. Conversation in English, by the way, not German.
Yeah.
You can both understand it.
Get off my lawn. Back in my day, there were only 151 Pokemon.
Back when I was young. Right, well, I do appreciate you delivering this to me. This has in many ways saved my life. And I would actually like to ask further assistance from you because as you could probably tell on your way here, the Einzberns have a bit of a problem at the moment involving, well, she just gestures at everything. I could see from up here when you came in, at least once you crossed the saber barrier, that the tree attacked you. It's fortunate you were standing where you were. They mean business. I saw a few of them actually kill some of my sisters from a distance.
Ooh.
That's not very good.
No,
Yeah,
it's
no.
I wouldn't recommend it. It's not a good way to go. In fact, I also noticed that you did seem to fix the Lanza statue as well. That brought a lot of peace to my sisters, which I appreciate personally, and it may also be helpful for the task that comes next. So, let me ask you this first. How would you like to be rich?
Well, I mean, money is certainly helpful in modern society. You can pay the bills and all that, but
I mean,
It's
I
not-
wouldn't say no. But
yes, what she said. I won't say no.
Well, essentially, right now, following some unfortunate recent events, the Einzberns have had several setbacks, not the least of which being that giant tree in the middle of our castle, and from what I could tell, the destruction of everyone but me. So, as you might know from that potion that I've commissioned from you, we do have gold. And that is something that I would be very happy to part with if it meant we could clear out that tree before it destroys our ley line, and I got your assistance getting the old man back online and getting my family in order.
oh man.
Online?
Oh, right. Yes. So the head of our family is it's a golem. Not like the one you have outside, but still an artificial creature. He's an old man. He's kind of a bastard. But if he can be repaired, then he can operate the castle and we can get the homunculi back and continue the family mission that we've been engaged in for over 1,000 years. That is sort of our job.
What exactly would this mission be?
Well, what do you know of the true magics?
I don't know. I guess we should make a roll.
That would be an Arcana check, yeah.
Yeah.
Not much, apparently.
For a second, it was looking like it was.
Wow, nice. You both know that there are 5 of them. And that no one, and that like of the 5 of them, only a few of them are really known in any detail. Like, pretty much everyone who is a mage in Europe is aware of at least the second magic, which is because the guy who knows it is still around and kind of a cocky ass who makes life miserable for the clock tower, which you think would probably be pretty funny. And that's something both of you would just know from existing here. You don't know many details about like what it is. You just know it's a big deal.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can't say that I know too terribly much.
It's not something I've studied, no.
That is perfectly fair. Oh, actually, I'll make Kwaku roll too. He's here. Let's not ignore my other characters. I can't wait till he rolls like a 1 and just says something wrong.
Playing patty cake with a spider or something.
I mean, he probably would.
Spider would win. It has more hands.
You're
Or
not
not
wrong.
hands.
Pack
Ooh.
tactics. Get that bonus. Oh, no, this is one of his stats. He might actually do okay here. Yeah, roll that 3. Oh, he's not having a day.
Ooh.
It's the first time we're sitting down in a while.
It's true. I am familiar that there are 5 of them, but it's not been my area of study either. It's one of those things that I have a feeling you either live for it or you don't care. Well, you're not wrong there. We care a great deal. One of our ancestors discovered the 3rd magic, but was not very good at it. And so we've spent the last, I guess, about 2,000 years now trying to figure it out in a better way. And that's what we do here. We study that. Well, my job is more to be a lookout and to make sure that no one interrupts the work. But as you can tell, I've failed at least once in that recently.
What happens?
But
Don't be
I
too
myself
hard.
don't really understand it either. That's more the golem's jurisdiction. But I suspect that whatever happened was a result of our pursuit of it. Again, this is not my area, but what I do know is that a little over a year ago, a few of our number were sent to Japan, where they were to participate in a ritual, and they didn't come back. We actually, or one of the founding families of it, it's known as the Fuyuki Holy Grail War, which you can also roll for that, although I think Kwaku already mentioned it to you, so you can just know that it exists.
Oh, is that a history?
Yeah, that could be history. It's been going on long enough to be history. It's okay, get him out of the way now. Oh,
Hey!
there you go. Anise knows about this thing. Yeah, so Penelope remembers that Kwaku mentioned that there was a ritual going on in Fuyuki prior to the incident from last year, and 10 years before that. Apparently Fuyuki just keeps having these rituals that go badly. Anise can remember a bit more that the Fuyuki ritual is... It's not one of the biggest deals, but it is something that's been going on for a while. She learned a bit about it from some of her teachers when they were talking about the nature of spirits and the nature of the reverse side of the world. Like there's a place that phantasmal species like yourselves, but much older and more powerful, live. And that for the most part, since the world got to the end of the Age of Gods, there's the human side, which the group of you are unfortunately on. And then there's the other side, which is vast and impressive and full of all the mythological things and the gods and all of the things that we haven't seen in some time. And nowadays, the only time you're really going to see anything even remotely like that would be during a ritual like, a list of them, and among them was the Fuyuki Holy Grail War, which at the time you were learning this had happened 4 times. And so there were just, various stories of, you know, they're called heroic spirits. They're just larger than life heroes and beings of mythology that manifest for a short period of time to beat the crap out of each other. People outside of it don't really know why, but they do it. There are occasionally sightings, and then like the church and the Mages Association cover it up. For the most part, no one from your circles is really involved in it because it's run by the Mages Association and the church, and you have no desire to be around either of those. But it's a thing that happens. And now it makes sense if the Einzberns are one of the families that runs it, because you got to have some reason to do that, and a golem running a bunch of homunculi would be a reason to keep something like that up for generation after generation, because they don't really vary. They just continue doing a thing until they get the result they want.
I guess I'll relay that to the rest of the group.
Yeah, I'm not going to make you say all that back. That's fine.
No, repeat every word. I need to hear it.
All of it. I want to hear the Fate Wiki coming out of your mouth right now.
1,000,000 years ago.
Oh, God.
Thousands of years ago.
Then grew feet and walked on the land.
Oh, no. Penelope just passed out on the floor.
And he became Enkidu, the clay friend to Gilgamesh.
Yes, she is asleep on the floor, dapping, because apparently that's how I fall asleep on the floor.
That's respectable.
No.
I'll relay an abbreviated version of
That's
that.
fine. Yes, that is exactly the ritual. It's taken place 5 times now. It's, for what we can tell, it's never really gone to completion. I don't know what happened the 5th time last year. I just know that even I get the news and didn't end well. But as is the mission, as soon as one of these is over, we get ready for the next one.
How often do they usually happen?
My understanding is that it's supposed to be every 60 years, but, well, we shouldn't have had one last year since we had one 11 years ago.
Yeah. Seems recently things have been weird.
Indeed they have. Kwaku is not offering information, but he's very clearly paying attention. Well, suffice it to say, we can't prepare for the next one without a golem and homunculi to do that. And if that large tree continues to consume all of the mana from the region, which it clearly is doing based on what it's doing to all the local wildlife and trees, we won't be here. And then there's no telling what will happen the next time the ritual would come up.
Well, I have quite a vested interest in helping you get rid of that tree, that's for sure. And I'll relay, I made a roll and remembered hearing something I have written down, Einash?
Yeah, you made a roll, and you theorized that the tree is probably one of the child of Einash, which is one of the dead apostles.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to super briefly recap on that one, is a big vampire tree. And the big vampire tree shows up every 50 years, wipes out an area, and then when it's done, it moves on. And occasionally seeds from its fruit show up in places and make much, much smaller forests, called a child of Anash, which they're dangerous. Anyone who wanders into them is probably going to die because the forest will just kill you to eat you. And when it comes to, like, your people, druids hate this stuff because it just ruins an ecosystem, and there's not much you can do about it short of finding, like, the central tree of it and killing it, which, given it's a murder forest, most of the time it's just accepted as, well, that area is dead to us. but occasionally people will go in and try to varying degrees of success. And the way this forest looks and the fact that there's a big old tree in the middle of it makes it seem pretty likely to be that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll explain my theory about it being a child of Anash and not being too fond of the concept. So yes, I will help you get rid of this tree, regardless of whether or not there's compensation. But again, I won't say no to more gold.
I promise we have more than we can spend.
Especially because gold doesn't really spend much nowadays, but...
That is very true. I'm afraid I've had to rely a bit much on outsiders to help with that. It was actually fortunate that you accepted it as currency at all. It is very old, so it raises questions if you just try to pass it at a store.
Luckily, I know some people that work for a museum who were more than willing to accept it in exchange for currency I could spend.
How long is this gonna take, you think?
Well, given the tree will likely kill everything that's here within a few days, I can't imagine it'll take longer than a few days. If I'm being honest, I was actually planning on, even in my weakened state, attempting something later today or tomorrow. Let me help you understand the situation, and then you can decide if it's something you would like to help with. I obviously will not blame you if you do not wish to partake in our problems. So, all of this began fairly recently when a man that I don't really know who he is, approached the bounded field on the outside. I can't see him. In fact, this will be easier. Come on. Come over here. It will save some trouble. So she's walking you over to the fireplace.
Just phase through the wall.
I mean, you're tiny. You can go through the atoms. It's fine. I've seen Ant-Man.
Oh wait, I like completely went out.
You just phased out, like, for reals.
What are you doing? Why are you out there in the cold?
I'm sorry.
You're like, I'm visiting Raps.
I missed Raps. I wanted to make sure he's okay.
Oh, I must have scrolled. She's smaller than you again. There we go.
Ma'am, why are you tinier than me?
I'm a Spriggan. I resize. No.
I'm 6 inches tall.
Oh shit.
I increase and decrease in size based on my mood. But no, she actually grabs the some of the wood that's to the side of it and tosses it in the fireplace. And then she lights it. And then she invites you to take a look into the fireplace. Don't go into the fireplace. Well, that's on you. It's up to you if you want to do that. I don't think you do.
That's the best I can do right here.
I look into the fireplace.
I jump into the fire. Goodbye, guys.
Don't jump into the fire, you small thing.
Who you call it small?
You
We're gonna fist fight.
meet me in the pit.
The fire pit? Okay, sorry.
Hey, you're having fun. Don't let me stop you. Okay, so as you're looking into it, you can actually see something in the flames. Each of the statues in this area is tied to an aspect of our heroic spirit summoning system as part of the Grail War. They each provide a different defense to the castle. The one outside here is the Archer statue, and it has the ability to see anything outdoors in this region. So this is the castle, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going to show you what it looks like inside the castle courtyard. As you can see, it's a very large tree.
Yeah, that's a pretty big tree.
Very, yes.
And so, there we go. So as you can see here, I can use this fireplace connected to the statue to see what's going on, but only so far as the barrier. I can't actually see outside. The saber barrier prevents magic from going through it in both directions.
Ah.
It is an amazing defensive boon that also leaves us a bit blind. It's why two of the other statues are outside of it. Now, I was informed by some of the local wildlife that there was a strange man outside. Apparently he was summoning elementals. So, unable to see it myself, I went to investigate. When I passed through the barrier, I discovered a man who is... The best way that I could kind of describe him would be not quite human or humanoid, but closer to an elemental. If you've ever seen one of those, he's somewhere in the middle. It's not so much that he's tall as he's long. Like his features were stretched out. His arms and legs were longer than they should be for any species, human or phantasmal, that I've seen. His skin was covered in bark. It's similar to the spell that druids, your people, use. So that may have been what was in effect, but it did obscure a lot of his features. His hair was human-like hair. It was a dark brown, but it was matty, and there was actually like moss and twigs and things like that inside of it. He was wearing dark robes, and just from looking over them, like his robes had patches in it, like areas that were put away wet or something. They were stained, but in the stains there was actually like fungus.
Ooh.
It's like small mushrooms and other things like that. It was a very strange person to see, and this is coming from a woman who lives in the woods. But I would wager, as strange and twisted as he was, if he were to stand up straight, he would probably be 7 or more feet tall. But he was hunched instead. He was holding a curled wooden staff. And he was summoning elementals. It was strange. I approached him and asked him to state his business. And then something hit me from behind. And I don't mean hit me as in I fell over. I mean, I flew across the area. In fact, the only reason I know that one of the statues broke my fall is the fact that they didn't kill me. I was knocked into what we call the assassin statue. And upon coming into contact with it, I assume they were no longer able to see me and just moved on.
I think we encountered that statue as well.
Yeah.
It normally keeps people away through mental trickery, but in this case it saved my life, I suppose. Once he created his elementals, they set to work doing something to the casta statue, which creates the weather for the environment to keep people away for more natural reasons. And then he went through the barrier. He went through the saber barrier. I tried to follow him, but I was injured and I wasn't in the best state to start with. So instead, I made my way back to my cabin here and sent a warning to the castle to prepare their defenses, and then I just watched it play out in my fireplace. Um, I saw the man encounter the giant snake guardian, which he destroyed quite brutally. In fact, he managed to use the forest against it. He had a tree grab the snake and impale it on the Lancer statue where he left it and broke the statue in the process. Then he walked right by the Berserker statue in front of the castle to no effect. Normally the Berserker statue drives someone to crippling paranoia, but it didn't seem to affect him at all.
Mm.
And then he rather calmly murdered my sisters who were standing in guard. It was a completely one-sided battle. He summoned earth elementals and had them attack them. Like, they got their hits in, but it was a completely different level of violence. The elementals fought into them, and then finally, once he breached the inner walls of the main castle, we deployed a defensive golem. Not the old man, but another one that we modeled after an actual heroic spirit that we had the benefit of studying for a few months prior to the last war. And it charged him, but he managed to subdue it by sprouting vines from the ground that held it back, and then it just fell. He didn't actually seem to damage it, it just stopped moving. I suspect he must have drained it of its mana, and it had no way to function any further. He then calmly walked up the stairs, encountered the old man, and what he did to the old man was brutal. Simply put, he had vines climb out of the ground and pin him down. He had stones fly up from the ground and crush him. And then he pulled him into pieces using the vines from the ground until he was no more. You can see that over on the left side. Once he was comfortable with the idea that he'd won, he pulled a seed out from his coat, dropped it on the ground, and the seed began to immediately grow into a tree at least as tall as he was. He then stepped through the tree using some sort of druid spell that I believe I've seen used once or twice before. Stepped out of that tree right at the edge of the barrier where he'd originally come in, walked through the barrier, and I lost sight of him after that. At no point did he make any demands. He seemed to just be here to kill the old man and leave. And that tree that he left behind has been growing ever since, and with each day the tree has gotten larger and the area has gotten worse. I attempted to make my way to the castle to do something about the tree, but once it was clear I had hostile intent, the forest around the castle rejected me, and I was in no shape to fight it. To make matters worse, as the mana dried up, all of the phantasmal species in the area were in danger. We used a statue that I don't believe you've encountered yet. We call it the rider statue. It controls the beast in the area. It keeps them here, and if necessary, it asks them for assistance, which they will generally give. They can be convinced. But the way the mana was running out rapidly here, as you know, phantasmal species need more mana to survive. And with less mana, all that they can really hope to do is feed upon each other. So I didn't want them to do that. I knew that I would need their help. So I actually went to the rider statue and I let them out. I let them leave the area for now so that they could not wander too far. Like, there's still only so much mana in the outside world as well. It can't sustain them, but it was safer than keeping them here and watching them tear each other to shreds.
Right.
My hope is that on mounting an attack, I could return to the rider statue, ask them to come back, and I suspect since this is the only place that they can realistically get to that can sustain them, they would help, and then mount an attack on the castle and do what we can to take out the tree. Fortunately, before I got to that point, I noticed the three of you arriving, 4 with your large friend outside, and I think we may have better options than just sacrificing all the phantasmal species if I have your help. But that is the situation as I see it right now.
I'm in. I'm in.
Obviously, me too.
I would absolutely like to protect the ley line and all of the creatures that live here, if at all possible. So, I guess my question now is, how do we kill a tree that big?
Get an axe and start chopping? I really wish I could get word to my tribe or some other druids. Any druid worth their salt would want to come help. Tree is a problem.
Unfortunately, within the barrier, we wouldn't be able to get much message out. You could leave and then communicate from the outside. In fact, if you have any other allies in the area, they would also be appreciated.
There was the
Gunter? Crosby.
Crosby, Gunter, maybe.
I'm not sure that Gunter would be... I'm sure he would try, but...
He could throw chili at it. It'll work.
Oh, did you try the chili?
Ooh.
We have some with us, actually, if you would like. Probably.
If you're missing
May still be hot, and I'll just get out the thermos.
No.
It's possible we could kill the tree with that.
That's very true. It may be a secret weapon. We disabled whatever it was that the Godman did to the statue to cause the blizzard. I did consider using the chili to wipe off the runes, but I just heated some water instead and did that.
That's... I'm sure the statue appreciates that. Though, who is this other fellow that you mentioned?
Crosby?
He's
I don't think I know him.
one of your colleagues, Kwaku. You'd probably be best to explain Crosby.
Okay. He is a necromancer with the Mages Association. I suspect that if he were to find out that there was a Child of Einzbern incident, he would then have to make a choice, and that choice would be to alert the association, which would probably trigger a cleanup team, which would not go well for us.
No.
Or if you could convince him, since he doesn't, from what I've seen, he doesn't actually like doing that part of his job. He may be willing to help as long as it's resolved quickly with some kind of contingency. So, as a necromancer, He might be interested in the fact that you seem to have a lot of ghosts here. That might be something he could actually leverage if they were willing.
There's also the gold.
Gold is a funny thing in mage circles. It makes the world easier to a point.
Trying to think of how Anise would even get word to her tribe. A letter, I guess. She doesn't. They don't have a phone.
Oh wait, hold on. Penelope pulls out her BlackBerry.
We already established there's no signal.
Oh, we didn't hear. Does she have signal?
Here? No.
Oh,
you've got one of those phones.
I do. It doesn't work out here at all.
Have you tried plugging it in? We have one of those in the castle.
Oh no, it's not a. It's on, but it doesn't get the signals it needs. Oh. Wait, is there a landline here in the castle?
Yes, one of the mages that we commissioned in the previous Grail War insisted that we install a phone.
Oh my god. Can you use the phone?
It was before my time, but as I understand it, it upset the old man, and that makes me happy. So
it would take far too long for a letter to reach my tribe, I fear. It's not anyone with a phone for miles and miles and miles.
Honestly, the only guests we get are people that we invite ourselves, which we tend to do by leaving and then performing a communication ritual from the saloon, or the ones who wander in, which is unusual. We had a pair of them show up a few days ago, but they weren't helpful. I think they were trying to hunt phantasmal species. It didn't work out for them because we have a lot of them and they were hungry. So I believe they were run off. I couldn't see what happened once they left the barrier.
So the only backup we may be able to get would be Crosby, but we'd have to fully leave and go all the way back to the saloon.
I can show you the easiest way to get back. I saw the way you came here, and it made sense when you're following a bird that doesn't understand. But there are other paths that I think would be easier, and more importantly, they have less trees.
That is very important.
I think birds like trees and forget that the rest of us find them to be inconvenient, even when they're not trying to kill us.
But do we really need... Of course it would be helpful to have an extra set of hands, but do we really need to try and call in Crosby?
You could use the Lancer statue to mobilize the spirits. They're not the strongest. If you in fact had the help of a necromancer, he would probably be able to reinforce them a bit, but you wouldn't necessarily need them. Between the spirits, the beasts, if we were to summon the phantasmal species, we could put together something of a group. It's really a shame that we don't have the golem that's right next to the tree.
Yeah, let's just.
It does all come back to how do we fight the tree? I was kidding earlier when I said to just start chopping it. I think it probably would not be fond of that. Probably kill us.
I don't imagine it would appreciate it. Normally with these things, I would assume that they... Actually, no, this is something that you would know from your role before. The general history of these things dying is they get starved out. Like, they just run out of food. Something that big will dry up. It just needs a ridiculous amount of mana, and so if you were to find a way to cut it off from the mana, you might be able to do something with that. Admittedly, if anyone would know how to redirect mana through a forest, it would be a druid.
I guess this is some kind of roll.
Yeah, you could roll Arcana or Nature.
I'm going with nature. I feel like I have a better plus.
Oh,
Oh!
okay, yeah. All right, so as it turns out, you minored in this in Druid school. Uh, but yeah, so
Something about trees, I say.
trees, you say.
I
As it
said,
happens, I
Enriagans.
I did
I
a
know something about trees.
Please tell me she's using that voice specific.
No.
Damn it.
No.
yeah, you did your senior paper thesis on trees. But yeah, so what you would know is that druids actually do practice a form of geomancy, of like shaping the ley lines of areas around forests to help them grow and to also protect them from things that are bad for them. And you can redirect mana through ley lines through the application of through runes or through other disruptive elements at key locations. What really matters is that there are certain points in an area of ley lines where things can divert in different paths. And one of the things that you actually had to do, since you've got so much experience with this, is something that you and a group of other druids from your circles did once was you redirected the ley lines around an area that was a victim of gross urbanization. Like originally you had all of this nice happy nature mana flowing through an area and a nice little river, streams, all that kind of stuff. Well, they put a landfill there, which you hate. And that's obviously really bad for the nature and everything there. Is, more and more toxic metals and poisonous human byproducts get dumped in it. So rather than just let that corrupt everything, you redirected the ley lines around it. So it kind of became a dead spot that it was always going to be anyway, and you redirected it to other places that became greener and prospered better for it. So given your knowledge of that, you could probably, after getting a sufficient feel for the area, find a few places where you could cut this thing off and it would starve faster. Also, because you nat 20'd it, you would also know that way back when you passed through the saber barrier, it felt like the same kind of redirection just as a wall. Like mana wasn't allowed to go through it. So you didn't think too much of it at the time beyond this is a weird thing that this thing does, but you could probably apply similar principles to put a cage around this thing. Either making a new one or possibly even moving the saber statue in such a way that it tightens on it and you can choke it.
So this cabin's up on like a cliff that overlooks the castle?
Yeah, it's like this area is largely a valley full of trees, but it's not a flat valley. Like there, like you saw on the other maps, like there are cliffs, there are different elevations. Like the lowest to highest point in here might only be 30 or 40 feet, but this cabin is up on top of one of them so that it can actually see throughout the whole valley area. If you were to climb on top of this and take a look, you could get a general sense based on where the trees are growing better, where things feel more right, of what the biggest ley lines are. And then if you were to go to those locations, you could probably sort out exactly what needed to be disrupted or changed. And then you would just be doing a druidic ritual there. Like there's not a spell for it. It's just something that you can do as a druid.
So without relaying any of this, I'm just gonna turn to, oh shoot, what was her name again? Ecovial?
Ecovial, yeah.
Just gonna turn to Ecovial and be like, is there a ladder to get up on your roof, perhaps?
Oh my, yes. I might have been able to jump up there once, but no, that's silly. You have to get back down. There's absolutely a ladder.
Okay.
Would you like to take a look?
Yes, absolutely. I think I might be able to do something. I might be able to move or redirect at least the ley lines away from the tree to stop it a little bit faster.
That's certainly more appealing than the other options, and it doesn't sound like it involves actually approaching the tree. Sure, by all means.
Cool. I will climb up on top of the cabin and get a feel for the ley lines and whatnot.
Okay. Um, so from the top of it, I'm not going to make you roll a perception for this because you have as much time as you need to take it in. You can see over the area, and you've actually got a few hints in this because based on where you've already been, you know where most of these statues are,
Mm-hmm.
and they were kind of along one of the main lines. Like it's clear that they were connected directly to it. And so if that's like the main ley line running through the area, you can see the branching off points around it. Um, you can also notice now that you're seeing it with this in mind that there's kind of a ring of not dead trees, but just less vibrant trees, like more sparse, more spread out, in line with where you saw that saber thing before. Like there's clearly just this whole thing along that barrier where things just weren't passing as naturally. Um, but looking around, you can sort of tell by the clusters that there are three places that you haven't been that really stand out as places that you could possibly do something. Um, one of them is right in front of the castle. One of them is off to sort of the far south of where you are, like not near any of the paths you've been on. In fact, it's a little bit closer to an area that's a bit less green and a bit more rocks. And then the third one that you haven't been to is not surprisingly, it's like just on the other side of the castle, like past it. You can't see it too well because of the castle and the tree, but you can just tell from the growth around it that there's probably something there. And
Mm-hmm.
from your roll before, you can tell that you wouldn't have to like stop all of them. You would probably just need to stop two of them. And then if you were to do that, you would be able to, it wouldn't have enough to breathe, so to speak. And then even if that doesn't choke it out, it would probably lose a lot of its strength and have trouble maintaining whatever it is it's trying to do.
Or make it easier to fight, in other
Yeah.
words.
Make it easier to fight, or alternatively, buy you more time, if that was what
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to do as well. Because like right now, your biggest fear is that it's just going to drain the whole area dry, and it's doing that because the fire hose is on. If you squeeze it down to a garden hose, it'll take it a whole lot longer to do that.
I'll take out like a notebook and just make a quick sketch of the area and note where all of the points are. I'll go back down and then I'll explain the whole process of redirecting ley lines to kind of choke it out a little bit.
Okay, she'll take a look at your sketches and the areas that you're pointing out, and then she'll note that, okay, well, the one right there, the one that's off by itself, that's where the rider statue is, so that would make sense. Um, and then the one over here in front of the castle is where the berserker statue is.
Mm.
And on the other side of the castle is... That's an interesting choice. We didn't put a statue there. That place is... It's a different kind of haunted. We don't usually go around there very much. That was where we kept the servant while it was learning to behave. So it's possible that it settled into that place because it was the easiest for the servant to breathe, as it required vastly more mana than any of us could produce.
Say haunted, you mean by not so friendly ghosts then?
Right. The spirits that you've met are the spirits of my sisters who are here by choice to continue to protect. They are held here by the Lanza statue. But the forest was haunted long before we installed that, and that's where those ghosts are. Those are... I don't know exactly what all of them are here for, but if I were to wager a guess, they're the unhappy souls that lingered in despair after most of the original Einzberns killed themselves.
Peachy.
They were very sore losers at their inability to recreate the third magic, to put it mildly.
So that will be our last resort, I think. We only... Getting all 3 obviously would be for the best, but I think we only need to get 2 to really have an effect on the tree.
If anything, you might force the tree to draw heavily on the third one, and quite frankly, if you want to make the tree draw on the ghosts, that might not go well for the tree either. They're very bitter. But this is starting to sound more like a plan that we can actually do with our numbers.
Yeah.
She's gonna go back over to the fireplace and mumble some words at it. And...
Quite sure how to fight the tree, especially something that big.
Burn it?
It's also the big man that the bird kept talking about.
I wonder if that's
The golem.
either the golem or like the mossy man.
Oh, perhaps.
That's kind of big to a bird.
That's
It'd
true.
be big to me.
Long and big are possibly the same thing in bird language.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it sounds like he
Or maybe
used...
I don't know. Like, what's this other servant thing? What is it?
There's the golem that is no longer operational.
Yeah,
that's near the tree.
the old guy, right?
No, that's a different golem.
Oh.
There's the old man that Kovil keeps talking about, which is the one that was pulled to pieces.
Right.
There's another golem that's just had all of its mana drained, I think. I don't think we need to worry about the mossy man. It sounds like he left. From the way she described it, I think it was a spell called Transport via Plants. It's a druid thing. You can walk through suitably large trees into other suitably large trees. It's very handy. I hope to learn and master it one day. But regardless, it seems like we don't need to worry about him. It seems really like the trees are our enemies, and the ghosts may or may not be.
As you say that, this one pokes through the fireplace. Just sort of smiles and then puts away.
Not these ghosts. These ghosts are our allies, I think.
Yes, they're here to help, especially now that you've secured their anchor again. I'm not a necromancer. I don't really know how it works, but I know that without the statue, they have a harder time staying here, and this isn't really a great world to be a ghost in.
The one that's here kept calling herself a broken cup. Does that ring any bells?
I'm going to make her roll for that.
Oh, jeez.
When the NPC has to roll.
Hang on, let me also... I'm going to roll a d6. Okay.
You did roll a d6. Well done.
A grail is a type of cup.
You rolled for what's a cup?
No, I rolled to see whether Anise would put that together.
Okay, gotcha.
Whether she would think about a holy grail as a cup, or whether she would just dismiss that as a...
Right. That makes way more sense. I thought that was funny.
That's why it was evens is that's the connection she made. Odds is what are you doing that's stupid, basically.
That's fair. Yeah, so she made her roll, and like, I I think a broken cup might be her limited understanding of what the old man probably called her. Um, I was spared that fate, but there have been many attempts at recreating the original homunculus who, for lack of a better word, later became the Holy Grail.
Ah,
Ugh.
And they've all been failures, give or take one or two recent ones. And when a failure was created, they would be discarded. That's what that pile you saw earlier was. Those were the failed attempts, but that doesn't mean they can't still serve. They just serve in a different capacity. Maybe she thought she was a broken cup because she was a failure as a grail.
they became the Grail?
I don't know how that works either.
Huh.
That is a bit beyond me, but I know that um, the way that I understood it, the that group of three that left a year ago and didn't return, the smallest of that group was oddly enough the oldest among us, but she was small. She was treated with great respect and referred to as the Grail. So my assumption is that she was successful. But then
More,
she didn't come
uh,
back, so I don't know.
more or less, I understand.
You would have to ask the golem for details. He's the only one who sees the big picture.
I
For
will
the
have
most
many,
part, I just make sure we don't get poachers.
I will have many questions for him if we can get him on the line.
No. Online.
Oh, yes, that makes more sense.
It's online, Anise. It's
Okay.
not on the line.
Yes, thankfully, as a golem, he's more complicated than his pots, and I don't believe the attacker understood that. If we can recover the castle, I think we can recover him, or at least his information.
And we need to get rid of the tree to get the castle.
Well, in that case, shall we head to the first site and begin the ritual?
Sure.
Would you like to take a rest first? A fair warning, as we get closer to the castle, the mana gets thinner and it gets harder and harder to properly rest. That's why I had to retreat so far after my first attempt.
Are we expecting to fight anything?
If we encounter trees that we can't avoid, perhaps, honestly, my biggest concern right now would be any phantasmal species that don't leave will probably be hungry. I've currently got my friends running distraction on them to keep them away. It's a pack of wolves. I don't believe you've seen them yet. They're very well behaved, though.
What fantastic species are in this forest? You keep saying that, and I'm just like, what are they?
Under normal circumstances, everything from very large versions of normal animals to there are a few drakes, if you can believe that. No dragons. The world can't support those anymore. But lizards of sorts. I think there's a basilisk somewhere, but I haven't seen it in a while.
No.
There was a snake until recently. There may be
Well,
more. I don't know that it's laid eggs in a while. Oh, and then there's that bird out there. The one that you met.
Oh,
the bird is a phantasmal.
Yes, it's at present it's very small, but in the past it was quite large. I believe it's at the size that the world can support at the moment.
Huh, interesting.
Don't think the snake is around anymore, though.
We fought a snake skeleton on the way here.
That was it. Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
has it always been that mode?
It was just a snake until about a week ago.
Oh, gross.
It was one of the guardians. It did not do well against the mossy man.
Ooh.
Well, we put it to rest.
It's true, and in fact, there's a possibility between the Rida statue and the Lanza statue you could still get some use out of it. It's beyond my skills, but perhaps someone else could figure it out.
Yeah, I got nothing to do nothing about bones.
I suppose a short rest is in order. How are we feeling?
Well,
Don't think I'll get anything back from a short rest.
yeah, I won't either.
You get your wild shapes back.
That's true. I only did one wild.
Yeah,
shape.
I'm just noting it. It's a thing you could do. Like you could summon a familiar and take a nap.
Guess I could get back that 2 damage I took.
Yeah, I don't think the two of you really expended many resources before.
Yeah. Well, I only have one bardic inspiration left.
Do you get yours back on a short rest or a long rest?
I think it's a long rest.
I don't
It's
think
a
we
long
need-
rest at this level, I think. I think later you get it at short.
I don't think we need to sleep here for 8 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's only like noon.
Oh, well,
I'm gonna fall asleep right here, right now. I'm joking.
if anyone could, it's Penelope.
You've had a very busy 24 hours.
It's true.
It's true. It's true.
Like, you got to the train station this time yesterday. Like, to get on the train.
Huh.
We could go. I suppose the Rida statue is the closest. We could go there, and then see where the day takes us.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to go ahead and take a quick just rest, I'm not opposed. I am never opposed to a rest. Do you have any food in this building?
I believe I have some over here.
Okay, then let's have a snack.
I'll make some tea.
Yeah, let's have a snack. And then do the thing.
I'll go get some water out of what I assume is a well.
In the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a well.
Oh yeah, there's the door.
I just wanted to zoom around the room.
I'll go get some water.
The water
Yeah.
is among the cleanest water you've seen since you left your village.
Very nice water you have here. It seems like a weird compliment, but
I've had worse. I appreciate it.
I'll just produce flame to heat up the tea kettle. I only have 1 cup. Do you perhaps have anything to drink out of?
You only have 1 cup. Didn't you steal like 5?
I only have 1 cup.
Did someone say cup?
There, we have a second one.
Oh, good. I think because I gave the
Oh,
beer
God.
stein. I gave the beer stein back
Oh,
to
yeah.
the dude that I thought was the waiter, so he still has that.
Kind of fun there.
I think I remember putting the cup over a spider, but I think I retrieved the cup.
Yeah.
Really
You
good.
did retrieve that one. Yeah. Also, you have, like, traveling packs. You've probably got drinks or something in them.
Yeah, I have a brewing kit, so I mean I don't know if that stuff is really good to drink out of.
I mean,
Okay.
you technically have a bunch of potion bottles. Like, at minimum, you could drink out of
True.
those.
That's true. I handed over the potion, so I can get rid of that now.
Like, Penelope probably has like a water bottle at the most. but like most of her stuff, which is still back in the freaking saloon.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, so
Like, just has like a tiny little like a day pack with her right now.
Could pour out
But,
the tranquilizers.
Ah!
No, I'm not doing that.
so Echo comes back after a second, and what she has, she's sort of slow to offer, but she's like, I don't know how useful these will be for you, but they were a gift. And she pulls out a bunch of cowboy shot glasses.
Oh no.
Well,
this one has a hat, and one of them actually does have a little sombrero kind of leaning off the side of it.
I love it.
Quite interesting, your friend.
He's a special one. I do value him greatly, but I don't entirely understand his interest. But
well, I have some tea. Your friend Gunter would call it Earl Green, I believe, but it's just some green tea. I won't be offended if you don't partake. I don't know if homunculi need or want to eat or drink.
We don't need to, but we will occasionally do so to keep up perceptions. So long as we have mana, we can survive almost anywhere.
Drinking some tea.
I offer some tea to the ghost.
She floats down, and she sort of stares at it. She's not saying anything, she's just staring at it, like waiting to see what it does.
He's just doing like shots of tea.
I'm drinking calmly and slowly out of my normal-sized mug.
Admittedly, shot glasses aren't quite as ridiculous in your hands.
That's true.
That's true.
Is Kwaku doing tea shots also?
Kwaku's pulling out his own mug.
Should have stolen that beer stein.
Yeah, what were you thinking? Returning it to one of its rightful owners?
Actually, I think that was
No.
that guy.
Yeah, never mind.
That
What
guy-
were you thinking? Giving it to that guy?
That guy-
I think you technically traded it for a phone.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, and I did steal his glasses.
That's true.
Good times.
You know, those glasses might make it easier to tell where the phantasmal species are while we're
True.
traveling.
I'll pull them out and like put them on my head, on the top of my head, so I can just easily
Pull him down.
slip them down.
You are now Digimon leader.
Maybe they're big enough they just go over my normal glasses.
Yeah, they're kind of big. You probably could do that if you wanted to.
You can wear your glasses.
You would just look like a Trigun character, but you could do it. Like, you don't really need to be wearing them. You can just tell from the lenses getting lighter or darker.
Oh, that's true.
So,
Scratch that. I don't put them on.
so you could literally just hold it in one hand up like a monocle and just look through it if you felt like it.
Just hold it. I say.
But yeah, like holding them right now, obviously like you need to use one of the charges for them to do anything, so they just look like glasses, but might be useful.
Mm-hmm. All this talk of tea makes me want tea.
I know, right? Suddenly a bird. Buddy? It doesn't... I don't speak bird.
I would need to cast Speak with Animals. Does it look like it's trying to get our attention, or?
No, it just could tell that people were eating.
I can see.
Please don't poop on us, buddy. I know you can't understand me, but please don't poop on us.
Oh, don't let him fool you. He understands you. He can't talk, but he understands you. He's not stupid. He's
So
just
far,
doing
I
this
thought-
because it's getting him food.
But
No harm. I've got maybe not an endless supply of seeds. small bird for now.
It just grows to like 3 times the size of the castle. Be like,
What was
fine,
that?
don't worry. That's how we'll get rid of the bird. Just have it.
Just keep feeding it until it can fight the tree.
Oh god.
Actually, its token should not be bigger than Penelope. Let's just dial that back. There we go.
I was about to say, that's a pretty big bird. No.
No, it is not that big.
Okay.
We take a short rest and like the bird has grown to 5 times its size and it's like
Woof.
caw. Caw, caw.
With the crest of friendship, you two can help it digivolve into champion.
Oh no. Alright, so which one where are we heading first?
I think the rider statue is the closer to. Or
The other two
three
are pretty close to the castle, so that would probably be the safest one to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did Akoviel say she could do something at the rider statue, like call some things back?
Yeah, she said that her original plan was to go to the statue and use it to call all the phantasmal species that have wandered away in the past week or so back. Like, ideally so that they could go in and help, deal with the tree, but
Yeah.
it's also probably a good idea to get them back here in general because while it's not super safe here, the longer they're outside of the barrier, the more likely they're going to get seen and lead to much worse consequences. Like, you're already dealing with phantasmal poachers.
That's fair.
Not great. Like, this was a need to do so that they don't kill themselves, but like, one way or another, that tree's going to have to go. They can't survive in the area with that tree, even if they don't come back.
Let's go to the rider statue and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but
Oh. Yeah, let's not kill
I'm not
the
saying
birds.
that. Well, I suppose once we're all done with the tea and had the little snack, let's head for that rider statue. That out of the way.
Seems like a good idea.
Seems like a plan.
Okay.
So are we destroying the statue or
Now, at the statue, I believe I will be able to use a ritual to move the ley line
oh, okay.
away from the tree and sort of cut off a point of food for it.
Okay. Cool. Well, I will do what I can. I'll distract the bird.
This is probably like one of those usual 10-minute ritual type deals.
Yeah, it would take a little bit of time.
I may need you to protect me, depending on what kind of things are near the statue.
Without a short sword. I'll do it.
Yes, bud friend. You can be most helpful too.
The bird will also stab things. Someone give this bird a knife.
The bird picks up one of the arrows that are sitting next to her bed. Nope, that's the
Oh,
ghost.
no.
Bird, get over here.
Knife bird.
I'm imagining that picture of the goose holding a knife in its beak.
It's a bird with a knife.
Peace was never an option.
Next, I'll just get the cell phone to the bird. We've got the one shot.
No.
I mean, the bird could probably get it to a signal, but then it would just be squawking at whoever it called.
They'd be like, all right, bird, go call my manager. What? What's going on the other end of this line?
Oh no, she's been turned into a bird again.
Again? Good call.
If anyone would have a backstory where they were randomly turned into a bird, it's probably Penelope.
I mean, probably.
She runs with some interesting crowds.
Yeah.
Eventually I'll be able to turn into a bird.
Good call.
One weird thing I saw on the internet was someone who realized that they could use their first wild shape to turn into a mouse, and their second wild shape to summon a bird to carry them. And if you're willing to burn both of your wild shapes, you've got half an hour of flying.
Oh my god.
That's pretty good.
It made me think of the bit where in Spirited Away, when the baby gets turned into a mouse, and then the flying scene with the what was it, it's like a giant bug or something trying to carry it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that movie so long ago, but yeah, that was what it made me think of. I don't know if that's the best use of your resources, but in a pinch, it'll get you out of a hole.
That's true. But not right now.
Yeah. But okay, so yeah, you have your short rest. Anyone who wants to spend hit dice is welcome to.
How do you do that?
I'm gonna go ahead and assume that you can just grab the hit dice and put it in.
Yep. And you've recovered that.
I don't think I dropped it in the right spot. Nope. Let me try that again. Hey, I don't know how that works. Hey.
I mean, it automatically applies the number.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I think the two of you are the only ones who actually took any damage.
Now, Kwaku didn't get close enough to it.
No, he was in the back throwing knives at it like some kind of Shiro wannabe.
He's trying to do his own unlimited blade works.
It's not as impressive when he does it, unfortunately. He's like the variant of Shiro that actually stuck with fixing things instead of fighting.
Oh, geez.
He has like 2 attack spells. One of them is a cantrip. That's about all he's not really here for that. But okay, so yeah, you've got you've healed up, you've recovered your wild shapes, so that's good. Technically, if any of you needed more HP than you just got back, you could Song of Rest it. I think you're both at full though, right?
I think so.
The fun thing about being low levels is you're either full HP or you're dead, so it's pretty easy to math out. Okay, well, you've got a destination. She's going to show you where you're going in the fireplace so that you can be aware. Bloop.
Oh.
There it is. It's taking its time loading. Yeah, so using the fireplace scrying, you can see the statue is in a relatively generic looking hill place.
Hey.
But it is on a hill, and you'll note that, at least as far as you can see in here, there's not really a way up or down that hill.
Oh dear. Well,
we'll figure it out.
yeah.
I don't know that I need to get all the way to the statue to do what I need to do.
Admittedly, you would probably be in a safer position at the statue, given the hill.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Raps could probably throw you up there.
Let's try and figure out a way that's not quite as dangerous.
Is it possible that we could approach it from the other side? I'm afraid not. There's a lot of trees up there. You might be safer on the rock path than just climbing up when we get there.
I believe I have spider climb.
You do, actually. It's one of your once a day abilities, isn't it?
Level 2 transmutation. Concentration up to an hour. So I can cast it on me or on someone else.
What are your two everyday abilities that you just have?
Work skin and
Oh, it was Long Strider, wasn't it?
Long Strider,
That
I
was it.
think.
Yeah, okay. Well, it sounds like you've got a plan. So I'm going to ask the two of you, since it's like 10 after 10, do you want to go and do this part? Do you want to say we've got the exposition episode out of the way and just jump in at this part next time?
I mean,
Hmm.
I'm personally cool continuing, but I will leave that up to you because
As long as it doesn't take 2 hours.
I don't expect it to take 2 hours, but
Oh.
again, I'll acknowledge if you that's something that you do or don't want to do. Like normally I wouldn't start a thing after 10, but I mean, I don't mind doing it. I just don't want to continue on that trend of the first 2 sessions where I just ran us too late. So
Right. This would be a pretty short episode.
that's fair. I guess to
Episode.
recap your other options, so
Mhm.
you want to go directly there. You're not going to be doubling out to make phone calls or talk to people or any of that. You're just going to go straight there.
yeah,
Okay.
Seems more likely, more like the best way to go about it.
yeah.
Okay.
That and like, even if they could get to the phone, I don't know who the heck they'd call. So it's not like calling her manager is gonna do anything good.
You call your manager and you're like, I need to kill a giant tree. And he's like, how are you?
He's like, just don't worry about it. But I need to kill a giant tree.
Could you send the helicopter and its giant propeller blades for the tree?
Can you send me a flamethrower?
That you might have an easier time getting than a helicopter.
A whole lot of weed killer.
Do we have any Roundup anywhere?
Do we have all of the Roundup? Okay, well, in that case, I will go ahead and add some people to the party sheet, because you've got friends now.
We could still take an axe and chop down the tree.
Well, I do have an axe out back if you want it.
Woo!
Which is true. It's next to the well.
That can be our plan B.
I feel like we might need a bigger axe. Maybe.
Or someone strong enough to wield an axe at least.
Oh yeah, no, not me.
I've got a +1 to strength. Oh, that's true.
He's like, hello, I'm here to chop things down. And
I heard we were doing violence. I'm here. I'm for it.
Hello. Yeah, I have a -1 to strength.
It's not what you're built for.
Kind of just look at Kwaku and be like, yeah, of the 3 of us, it would be me, wouldn't it?
Yep. He's drunk.
I am more of a builder than a breaker.
Well, we have a wraps, it's fine.
I have a sword. That's what I got. Even then, I guess it's technically a short sword, but it's a sword. It can stab things. I mean, it stabbed the bone snake.
That's important.
That's important.
It's hard to stab bone.
You gotta acknowledge your victories.
Okay, so as you are journeying onward, the partway through the ghost kind of wanders back over to the Lancer pile. Like it showed you the way here, and then she did her job, and then she got bored and wandered away. So, as is fair. And so the party of I guess the 6 of you now, because you've got a Covial and a bird who keeps following the meal ticket. Are good to adventure on. I'm going to drag you all onto a map. Kwaku, why are you the weird one? Every time I click on you and move the arrow button, it moves the map. Everyone else I click on and they actually walk. What's your deal, buddy? Why you gotta be like that?
Running in circles. Getting
Zoom.
pumped. No, I'm not really.
I'm just gonna stay inside. Bye, guys.
Alright, well.
Fun. Wait, hold on. Boom! I just looked out the window.
Why?
Gotta be careful. All right.
Bird friend, carry me.
Caw-caw.
Go.
Meow.
Should I tell the bird friend to go home? Could he be useful?
I don't unless, but I also don't see a reason to get rid of. I don't know. I can't talk to bird. I mean, I can talk to the bird, but the bird can't talk to me. You can talk to the bird.
I have to cast Speak with Animals to do that.
Apparently, it can understand us, even if we don't have that. Doesn't really help with the reverse transaction.
Could still be useful. Go peck the tree. Become a woodpecker.
Okay, I'm dropping you all on a new map, and then I'm going to share it. Now that you've got all these NPCs, I've actually got to pull up all their sheets.
Eventually, it's just going to be a party full of NPCs.
I mean, most games are made for 4-player characters. So until we get more, that might keep happening.
We convince Guter to come help, and Will has to actually make him a character sheet.
He's got one. I make character
Wow.
sheets for anyone who's going to have to make rolls. Like, for all I knew, you decided to hold up the saloon and fight him. I didn't know what your characters were going to be 2 years ago.
That's fair.
Like, not all of them are the most complicated characters, but pretty much everyone you've met has a sheet.
What's Gunter's class?
Oh, I didn't say he has, like, levels and stuff. He's just got a sheet.
We find out
He's like a monk or something.
That would be pretty funny. I think if I were making Gunter as, like, a serious, like, would-be cowboy character, then I would probably have to make him, like, a
blood hunter.
he'd be a ranger, but he'd be one of, like, the cowboy-themed ones.
A Texas Ranger, then.
Yeah, that'd be it. He'd be the Texas Ranger of Germany.
Gunter, Texas Ranger.
Of Germany.
Of Germany. Ooh.
He's a special guy.
Good old Gunter.
Raps, why aren't you on the party sheet? Raps, get back in the party.
Come on, Raps, be a team player.
Oh, Raps doesn't get to be on the party sheet because he's technically an actual NPC. Whereas I used characters to build the other ones.
Dang it, Raps.
One job, Raps.
And he's just like, argh.
Yeah. Alright, let's give you a new place to look at. There you go.
I'm assuming Echoviel can fight, but I'm also gonna just go ahead and assume that this is like an escort mission, essentially.
So you could tell from being in her place and looking around it for a little bit that she has, she's got a bow and a quiver, and she actually has, like, when you're leaving, she puts on some leather armor. Like, it actually does look more like a fantasy setting kind of leather armor. Like, her leather is, I guess the closest modern design I could really compare it to would be, you know the outfit that Zelda wears in Breath of the Wild?
Oh, okay.
It's like that. Like, I mean, it's not, like, bulky or anything, but it's, like, a thicker, reinforced, like, padded thing. I don't know the technical term for it, but I am not Ren fair enough to know this, but yeah, she's wearing something. Like, she's made to be durable. You just caught her at the end of a very bad spell of gaining 30 years of age in a few weeks. So that'll throw most people off.
Okay.
But yeah, she's got a bow and quiver. She's got levels and stuff. She's not Gunter.
Hmm.
We're on a new map. I guess I will go ahead and not move my character.
I thought I went through all the maps and changed them into moving maps. I think I just forgot this one because it's old.
Move on up. See what I see.
Yeah. Moving on up and about.
Keeping my eyes out for phantasmals, I guess.
How are you doing that? Are you just like looking around? Are you messing around with your
I'm not-
glasses?
No, I'm just kind of looking at the moment.
Okay, you can just do a general perception check then. Actually, I'm going to fill in a little bit more to the right just in case you don't have it zoomed out enough to see. Over on the far right, there's a cliff wall.
Ooh.
Penelope sees everything.
She sees the code.
The universe just splits open.
But yeah, just to draw attention to it because I didn't make that visible before. On the right, there is like a cliff wall. You're down a little bit. So you don't have to worry about anything sneaking in from the right if it's not already there. Okay. So yeah, Penelope, nat 20 is that perception roll. Like a champion. Which is good because Anise is looking for creatures. Penelope, at your height, you're actually in a better position to notice. There is some rustling in the bushes.
Like the ones around us, or
like not the ones immediately around you, but the ones coming up. Like you can see them a little bit easier because I think you're lower to the ground and you can sort of notice the disruption in the snow. Like it's no longer snowing.
Mm-hmm.
So when things rustle through stuff, it's a little more clear that a little bit of dust is falling out of some trees.
Gotcha. I relay this to Anise. Hey.
I will approach cautiously.
You're approaching the bushes?
Yeah, why not?
Brr. Oh, and the
Can't
bird.
move my token with the arrows.
I'll zoom it in a little bit.
Oh no, like my token's not moving. I can move the map with arrows. I just can't.
Oh, it's not letting you move your token?
Yeah.
It's doing to you what it did to me a second ago. I think when you click on you should turn green.
Nope.
It did that on other maps, but for some reason not on this one.
Yeah.
It's so inconsistent with that. I'm sure there's a method to it that I just don't understand.
Yeah. I'll just click and drag. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Shelley.
All right, let me click some buttons. All right, so I locked and unlocked moving. See if you can move now.
I can move.
Nope.
Okay, I'll figure that out
I
later.
can click and drag my token. I just can't do the arrows.
Alrighty, we're not going to be wandering too forever on this. Yeah, so walking up there, you can see stuff.
Ooh.
Let's get stuff.
Shelley put a foot right in my belly button.
Oh no, Shelly.
Where did they go? All right, so as you get closer to the bushes that were pointed out as moving a bit, you notice that it's not so much that something is moving in the bushes as the bushes are actually a thing.
Oh jeez. Oh no.
Oh. Well, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, no. Gonna back away a little bit.
They don't seem to be coming after you yet, but you can tell that they're there.
Ooh, okay.
I suppose we should find another way. Or maybe just kind of give them a wide berth.
They do seem to be stationary for the moment.
Yeah, let's see if there's another way around them.
Brr. Brr.
What you doing, bird?
Brr.
It looks like it's trying to get my attention.
Yeah, I think so.
I will cast Speak with Animals. Yes, bird friend?
Those plants over there are not plants.
Yes, very good. We figured that out ourselves, but thank you for reinforcing the idea.
No, over there.
Wait,
What? Over where?
over there
Oh wait,
too.
why am I responding? I can't understand this.
Yeah, you're just hearing me go. Cheep, cheep, cheep. Oh. Well, oh dear, there's more of the plant monsters over there too.
Although while you're up here, I'll go ahead and reveal more of the map because you can see more now that you're here.
And we're kind of looking around for a way around the...
Yeah, so I'm going to make sure you get more information to work with. You can see that much now.
Oh yeah, the statue's up ahead.
Well,
Okay, so
maybe they won't attack us.
all right. Oh! I have an idea. Oh God, where's my character sheet? Ah, hold on.
I'm gonna roll a nature, maybe check to see if I know what these things are.
Go for it.
It was almost a 20.
That's good enough to know what they are. Those are things that are called vine blights.
Oh.
They are living plant things.
Are they...
Let me share a picture with you. Give you a better idea what you're looking for.
With that roll, would I know, like... Are they prone to attacking people?
They're the one on the left.
Okay.
They look unpleasant.
Would I know, like, generally, are they like aggressive or?
They from like what you've seen before in interacting in forests, the different kinds of blights are sort of they're territorial creatures that they're kind of like the phantasmal species equivalent of like a Venus flytrap. Like they sort of lay in wait and they wait for stuff to get really close and then they just latch onto it and eat it.
How big are they?
They're capable of moving, but they usually won't unless they're like if you were to get in a fight with one of them, yeah, they'd probably just jump out and swarm you, but for the most part, they if you get close enough that one of them grabs onto you and can hold you in place, then yeah, they'll try to eat you. But they don't generally walk out into a big open clear space like you're in right now.
Are they big enough that they could eat anyone in the party? Or Penelope, at least?
Hey.
Not in one bite, but they would take you apart.
Well, we can go.
Like, with your role, you know that their go-to move is to restrain you. Like, they'll hold you down and sort of rip into you if they can.
Ooh.
Well, we can go straight ahead and try passing under the trees. Maybe the trees won't attack us if we don't attack them.
The trees directly ahead of you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do a perception roll on the trees immediately in front of you?
Sure thing. Perception.
Okay, the trees in front of you don't seem to have any of these things. Like, it's hard to tell because these things are pretty... They, like, now that you know what to look for, it's a little easier to tell. Like, one thing that stands out to you here versus the ones that you've seen in the past are that normally you wouldn't be able to tell at all. Like, that's the whole deal with the different blight species. Like, you can't tell looking at them on a tree. These ones you can see specifically because the trees around them are so drained that they can't actually blend in well anymore. It's like they're the perfect green for what these trees are supposed to be. But because the trees here have been drained to an almost transparent state, you can see them when you're looking for them. And so you don't see any of them in the tree ahead of you.
I think that's going to be our best bet to avoid combat with these things, which we want to avoid.
Yeah.
They're not going to come after us unless we get close enough to them. And I think that if we don't attack the tree won't attack us if we just pass underneath it. I think that's going to be our best course of action.
Would you like me to send in Raps to see what happens?
That would be a good idea. I also can cast invisibility on anybody if we need to go that route.
On all of us, though?
I mean, I only have it for like one person. But I'm sneaky.
So I think send in Raps and see what happens.
Mrr.
So far, the only tree that's attacked us has been because someone threw a rock at it.
You know, if I hadn't thrown the rock,
We wouldn't know.
we
That's
wouldn't
true.
know.
You,
Just as
yeah, I'll tell you in the meta, you avoided an entire combat by throwing that rock at it. If it makes you feel better.
Oh, I'm perfectly fine.
And I guess we haven't
But I think
gotten
it'd be
close
funny.
enough to any other trees so far to tell whether they just attack.
Yeah, this is the first time that you've actually had a chance to roll and see because you were specifically looking for it. All right, let's see. Raps, let's see how well you can follow instructions. All right, buddy. Rah. Oh, look at you nat 20ing like a big old golem. Okay, so Raps, the big clunky silk golem, moves towards the trees in front. And as it gets close to them, it actually contorts itself into this ridiculous JoJo pose and hops on one foot between the trees such that it touches none of them, in spite of how big it is. And then it comes out on the other side, and it turns around and looks back to all of you, and then it lifts its right arm, and it gives a big thumbs up.
All right. Well, it seems like that's the best course of action.
The
So am I
bird
gonna
flies
have
over
to-
the trees and lands on his hat.
Am I gonna have to roll something to do the same thing Raps did and like sneak between the trees, or?
You can roll acrobatics to try to avoid touching the trees at all, or you can just take your chances.
Oh no.
Oh no!
All right. So as you were making your way between the trees, you do rub against them. You actually manage to, in spite of all of your nature-y training, there's just something weird about these trees that makes them strange. And so you reflexively reach up and put your hand against one of the branches. And when you do, nothing happens. Well, that's not true. Like, so you touch the branch and it's weird. Like when you put your hand on it, the branch that you touch just sort of crumbles into dust in your hands.
Cool.
It just falls apart like it was made out of chalk dust or something.
Causing me to then trip comically into another tree.
No, you don't fall and do anything like that. It's just like
But I
you
rolled an at one.
you did roll in that one, which is how you managed to break a tree.
Fair. It's fine. Everything's fine. I didn't just break it. I don't know what you're talking about. Hi, Raps.
That could never have happened.
Oh.
Just standing there like, no. Oh, it's like my home, my natural terrain. I don't understand.
This isn't very typical for your experience, admittedly.
I didn't want to break the tree.
Penelope just skips between the trees like la la.
All right, I guess it's just us now.
Tree. What happened over there? How'd you?
I'm not talking about it.
Oh,
We're all just. We could be going this way. But for whatever reason, we're all just like, yep, through the trees. That seems like a good idea.
I mean, I'm entertained by that. All right, let's have some super fun roll. What you got here, Echo? Open up your sheet. Where'd it go? I have too many things. This is what happens when you get all these NPCs.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Just means I've got to... I may just ultimately give in and let Fantasy Grounds be 2 screens wide. It clearly wants to be.
I mean, Fantasy Grounds looks like it wants to be like 4 of my laptop screens, so...
Ooh, all right, so Echo popped a 19 on that one.
Ooh.
So in spite of her old body, she manages to similarly contort herself around the trees, but it's a lot more fluid when she does it than when, like, the ridiculous thing that Raps just did. She's sort of bending with the tree and never actually touching any of them as she moves through it. And she comes out on the other side without any issue. Do. All right, so you know Kwaku is all about that acrobatics, right?
Definitely full of grace.
Rolls a 6. All right, so similar to what you just did, he's making his way through. He brushes against the tree on the left, which you didn't damage before. And in doing so, he leaves a big imprint along the side of it, scratching it off like chalk dust. I don't think it was like that before, but I'm glad it didn't try to eat me.
That is good, yes.
Man, we got you guys just destroying trees over here. We should just send you 2 out to get the big tree.
Okay, so let's get off this cliff. I'm just gonna cast Spider Climb on just myself because it's concentration, so...
That is fair.
Gonna... Everyone else can fend for themselves.
Penelope's just gonna stare at the fucking cliff.
How do I... Okay, I guess I just... Yeah. Since there's no combat tracker. So I've cast Spider Climb, which...
Is this like more of a sloped kind of thing? Or
This is a lot closer to a wall. Like, you could try to climb it, but it would be rock climbing.
I have a climbing speed equal to my walking speed, and I can move up, down, and across vertical surfaces and upside down along ceiling.
Yeah, you can go up it no problem.
Oop. Would this be an acrobatics or an athletics check?
Climbing would be athletics. It's beyond your ability to just jump, so you actually have to climb.
Or you can have Raps yeet you up there, you know.
That's probably what's gonna have to happen.
Or you could stand on his shoulders.
That's true.
How tall is the cliff? Did you already say?
The cliff's about 12 feet tall.
So you could probably jump up on Raps' shoulder, but Raps also has Spider Climb, I think.
Yeah, he can just walk up it. He's cool like that.
Yeah, just give him. He can just give you a piggyback.
Raps, buddy, help me out here. Yay, I did it.
I guess, would I roll, like, investigation to check out the statue?
Yeah, you can investigate the statue. 2 of them are just going to stay down here for right now.
I rolled a 3. Sure is a statue.
It is a statue. It does have words on it. It's not a very exciting word, though. It literally just says riding.
Well, that's not what I'm here for, so I
rolled a 15.
just gonna plop myself down, crisscross applesauce, and start doing that ritual.
So when you're investigating it, what exactly were you doing?
I was just looking to make sure, like, there weren't any weird things on it, like with that one statue.
Gotcha.
It wasn't tampered with.
Yep, this one seems to be intact at least. Alrighty, so yep, you can start your ritual. I will give you a cool picture while you do that.
While she's doing that,
This is not a spell, I guess. It wouldn't be something on my character sheet.
It's not in your character sheet, it's just something that you're doing.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna do a perception check on the little tree thing behind it to make sure there's not like any more of those creepy crawly dudes. Oh, and it's a natural one.
You find a tree.
Sure is a tree.
But
It's the safest tree you've ever found.
I'm gonna abuse that halfling luck and just
Yeah, you can do that.
again.
It is your right as a halfling.
Only slightly better. Sure is a tree.
That is definitely a tree. You've seen trees before, and they look like this.
I've seen a tree or two in my time. It's definitely a tree. Oh.
All right. Which one of these looks cool?
Chilling with the bird.
That one will work.
Shelly has put herself in the same spot that Kim was in 2 seconds ago.
As is her right.
Are you keeping the seat warm, Shelly? She looks like she's gonna fall asleep in the seat.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh. Funky. Grassy.
All right, I'm just going to move you for a second so I can make the stupid thing bigger.
Whoop. Sure are some grassy things.
Did I miss any?
You've got a grassy thing.
I've got a grassy thing
There's a grassy thing on you.
on me.
I don't know what it is. It's not a creature or anything. It is a graphic.
Oh. But, dang it, did we actually get attacked?
No.
Shelly.
I mean, Shelly stole your seat.
Ma'am.
She's like, shit. Time to escape.
Oh,
This is you doing your ritual.
cool.
Eh.
Yeah, I guess I draw an outline in the snow dirt and sit down at the center of it and do some druidy ley line moving spooky magic.
Yeah.
Spooky magic.
The bird decides to not be in this. Raps decides that his job is to be down here. Burr, burr.
Well, he's gonna scoot just outside of it. And,
While I'm, I guess, in contact with the ley line, does it feel weird?
Yeah, so while you're in contact with the ley line, you can actually feel a lot of the mana in this area, and it's sort of weird. So like, you've spent your entire life using mana from the earth, like it's the basis of your being a druid, but also just even some of your more natural talents that you have come from this, like it's part of you. And generally speaking, when you take a rest, like, a long rest and you feel your power coming back and all of that, you can feel the mana of the world coming into you. And like, it's a little bit easier, a little bit harder in certain places. Like when you're out in the wilderness, it's much easier. It's more pure. It's more direct. When you're in the city, it's hard, but it's still a steady flow. What you're getting here is kind of like when you're trying to drink something through a straw that is cracked. Like you can feel the absence of what you're pulling in. Like, you should be getting more for what you're pulling, even if there's less there. Like, you're clearly losing something. It's very lossy as a system. Something is definitely draining this whole area, and like you can extrapolate that it's coming from the direction of the castle, obviously. But as you start to redirect the ley line, you're also sensing that you can feel it. You can actually sort of feel it easing back a little bit. Like there was this absence before, and now that you're redirecting it away from that, more of it's coming in your direction. And you actually have to pick where you want to point it. Like normally when you do these things, it's pretty easy because you're just slightly redirecting something just into another focal point. So you redirecting this here, you can point it to other parts of the valley in particular. You've been to a few places which would be easier to point to, where you can just pick a direction and see what happens.
If I have a sense of where the saber statue is, I'd actually like to point it that way.
Yeah, you absolutely know where the saber statue is. Like you can feel it from here doing the ritual because again, there's a ring where it's much, much harder to push anything through it, and you can see where that's focused.
Mm-hmm.
So for doing that, you're going to do an Arcana check.
Okay.
But when you do that, are you proficient in Arcana?
I'm not.
Okay, well, when you do this, we're going to add your proficiency bonus anyway, because this is something you know how to do. So whatever you roll, we'll add 2. All right, so that'll be a 6. That's fine. This is going to be a multiple rolls to determine how long it takes kind of thing. So, like, you don't have to worry about failing. You need to hit a certain number of successes to make that happen. So in the meantime, you are redirecting some of it. At this point, Penelope can do another perception check.
Okay, cool. Hold on. My computer's deciding to choose violence right now. Okay, there we go. Gross. It's a 7.
Fair enough. Okay, 7 is actually enough to see that as you're just watching this ritual go on, you can actually see a little bit more color returning to the plants around you. Like, not a lot. Like, it's clearly not what it should be.
Yeah.
But something is certainly happening.
Aww.
So that's good. In fact, you can see it a little bit more in the map now.
Ooh.
So it's not quite as red as it was a second ago. Okay, a few more minutes go by. Nothing weird seems to happen. You can do another Arcana check. Okay, so that'll be an 8. All right.
Last time I did this ritual, I had other people helping, I imagine.
Yeah, admittedly, this is normally something that's done by a circle of druids. This is not something you've had to do by yourself before, so it's not even that you're doing a bad job. It's just you're doing a lot of people's jobs.
That's fair.
Like, typically the roll would be done with a druid leading it, and then every additional druid in the circle is adding a bonus to it. But you just have to do it straight up, so it's a little bit harder.
Myself and I.
But you'll get to brag about it later if you pull it off.
True.
Get that druid clout. Okay, and I'm just going to alternate so that both of you get something to do. Penelope can roll another perception.
All right.
Not rolling well. Wow.
Aside from a few rolls, I think almost everything's been under a 10 for a while.
I rolled the 20 when it counted.
That's true, you
Yeah.
did. You rolled the 20 that got you the entire plan, so which is arguably the most important one to roll. So that is fair. Yeah, so again, as she goes on, you get a little bit more color. It's a little less red, a little more green in the area. So that's kind of neat. It's becoming a little bit harder to see those blights in the woods down there as the trees are getting closer to their natural color.
Ooh.
Okay, you can do a new ritual roll. All right, so that'll be a 12. Yeah, actually, once you hit the 12, you can really feel that you're actually doing a bit more now. You're redirecting it. The coloration is getting much better in the area. It's starting to look a little closer to what it's supposed to, which is kind of nice. Like it's still snowy, but it's not nearly as brittle looking. You can actually see those trees that you were looking at before. They're starting to get some of their color back. Now the parts that you broke are still broken, but they are starting to recover a little bit. All right, and Penelope roll.
Oh.
Penelope can't tell the colors are getting any better. Though it does bother her that she can't actually see those blights anymore.
Yeah.
Like they're just going to...
Ooh, no, not very much.
mysteriously disappear.
Oh.
All right. Then we get to do another ritual roll. And as you're doing this ritual roll, you're going to hear Kwaku call out, where did they go? I don't see them anymore.
Are you talking about the tree thing, dudes?
Yes, I could see them until the trees got greener, and now I can't see them anymore.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
I don't appreciate that about them.
I guess I do another perception roll.
Yep.
Oh, it's a little better.
There you go. So yeah, you definitely can't see those anymore. Like they disappeared from down there from wherever it was that was going. Like you didn't see them move away. You can't see them. Like they're like a weird eye trick now.
Yeah.
Maybe they're perfectly blending in. It's really hard to tell.
Ooh.
That's always fun. Okay, and give us another ritual roll.
Worse.
It's worse, but you're hitting 10, which is secretly the number. Just telling you. So as long as you're hitting 10s, you're making progress. Okay, with that one, the world seems to look more normal. Like, it's not super bright, but for the weather, this is actually looking pretty solid. You can feel the ley line is successfully redirecting most of what's here away from the castle and towards the saber statue. And in doing so, you can actually feel it's harder to move now because the ley line's like external source outside is getting more cut off by the saber statue. Which is what you were going for, so like it's working.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Penelope roll.
That'll do.
That's a good one. All right, with it's an 18.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. You finally rolled a bigger number. I can reveal the rest of the map to you now.
Yeah.
The thing that we've been working toward for so long.
Uh.
All right, let's give you some more map. Hooray, map. Just gonna reveal this whole side area over here because nobody cares. Cool. Now you can see all of that. And as a bonus, you can see that.
Oh, blind lights.
Oh, good. My favorite bonus.
Hey, it's important that you saw them this turn and not next turn.
Yeah.
All right, you've got one more roll for the ritual, unless anyone wants to do anything else in the meantime.
Penelope's gonna pull out her short sword and just like point herself in the direction of where the vine blights are.
Okay,
And just like be ready.
that's fair. All right,
Like-
so with that 18 for the last one, you do actually complete the ritual, and as you're sort of turning it off and you're wrapping it up, you feel the mana of the ley line as it's being redirected through this point brush against the statue and then into you, and by virtue of connecting with the statue, you actually very briefly get a sense of all the phantasmal species in the forest, and there's a ton. You've not felt connected to so many before. Like, it's not like they're a familiar or anything to you. You can sense them. You can sense how many there are. You can sense their density, their sizes, their relative amounts of mana that they have in their bodies. And there's some pretty big things out there. There's some things that are way bigger than you would think the world could sustain anymore. And based on your roles from before and your understanding of it, it's quite possible that by creating this area that kind of has a giant snow globe over it, mana can build up enough to sustain creatures like this. It's almost like a zoo. And it's kind of weird to you that the Einzberns essentially created a giant zoo, time capsule, whatever, as a defense mechanism so people would leave them alone while they went about their job. Like, the druids you know would be fascinated to visit a place like this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real chance you could encounter things that you didn't think were possible on this side of the world if you were to wander these woods long enough. Assuming, the tree doesn't kill everything. And with that, we'll be able to get rid of all these ritual things because the ritual is complete. And goodbye ritual thing. Cool. And because the trees are now back to normal and the whole area is back to normal, you actually can breathe a lot more easily than you could before. This feels a bit closer to like when you were actually outside. Like maybe this region at least is restored to what it needs to be.
Penelope's gonna run up to Anise and be like, "There's more creepy vine guys in the bushes over there, just by the way."
I don't think they'll attack us if we don't get near them.
Okay.
They're like, do you know what a Venus flytrap is?
Yeah?
They're like that.
Ooh.
If you get close to them, they'll eat you, but otherwise, they're harmless.
Okay, well, then let's go near those. I don't want to be plant food, necessarily.
Well, I'm done with what I needed to do.
Okay, so where to next?
Did we need to do something with this statue?
We could ask for help for dealing with the tree.
Oh,
Should I do that, or is that something you need to do?
Anyone could do it. I feel that it would probably make more sense for you since you just potentially saved them from starvation. They might appreciate it more hearing from you.
All right. I guess I'll approach the statue, put my hands on it, and
Okay. When you put your hand on it, similar to a second ago, you can feel a whole bunch of creatures in the area, and it's strange. Like when you use speak with animal, you can understand what they're saying, but this is more like you can hear what they're thinking. It's a
yeah.
It's a wide range of things from I'm hungry, I'm scared, this is fun, where's the ball, all kinds of stuff. Um, all kinds of animals all over. And you get this sense like when you're like, so what are you thinking when you do this?
What am I picking?
Like just what are you
What are you
thinking, like in general?
Thinking. If anyone out there can help us, we are going to take on that giant tree that's sucking all of the life out of the land. Any help would be appreciated. We will not harm you if you will not harm us. If you don't want to fight the tree, just get out of our way, I guess.
Okay, so when you do that, you hear a cacophony of replies. They are interpreted as words. They're not just like roars and grunts or whatever, thankfully, but it's more like a bunch of words mixed in with a bunch of emotions, and the emotions run the gamut from angry, 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 mad, 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 and happy, happy, get. But they're all very base emotions, and then in the middle of all of them, you get one of them that's like, we'll do what we can. And it's a very coherent one that you get the sense is coming from something a lot more advanced than the others. So something intelligent is out there and willing to help. And now you get to do an intelligence save because that's a lot of information.
Yeah, I was going to say, we completely missed everything you just said.
Really? Did it cut out?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
I did the part where I have to make an intelligence save.
But like anything before that was just silent.
Yeah, you said something about it being a very coherent thought, and then nothing after that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then, so in between all of the different impulsive, emotional words and voices that popped through, there was one really coherent one that stood out over all the rest of them. And it said, we will be there and we'll do what we can.
I just got kicked out of Fantasy Grounds.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Ugh.
So there's that intelligence save.
Oh.
That was enough. You're fine.
Shit.
But it's weird that it kicked her out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's telling me I have like no connection. Oh, my laptop just fucking decided it didn't want to be connected to the internet. Hold on.
That'll do it.
I mean, that is fair. Like, if it's an issue, like, this is probably the good pausing point anyway. Like, you're not fighting anything unless you decide you're going to go kick a tree. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my laptop will do this occasionally where it's like, don't want to connect to your Wi-Fi right now. And yeah, it's not letting me connect.
Yeah, the one thing I guess we would need to decide is if we're gonna head for the next statue or if we're gonna go back to the cabin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't need to see my character sheet to hear what the cohesive thought was, I guess.
We'll do what we can.
And
I think,
then,
yeah.
what was after we do what we can? Or we'll do what we can?
No, that was pretty much it. Just like, we'll do what we can
Okay.
to help.
Yeah. And I made the intelligence save and didn't go crazy from hearing all the voices.
Yeah. It's essentially like rolling against a cantrip that hits your brain. So, you pass that. Did Penelope roll perception on the way out? Because I see it in the chat. It says you disconnected, and then I see the intelligence, and then I see Penelope's skill perception. You got an 18. Good job.
I don't know if I actually rolled that or not. Okay.
You're perceiving it from beyond.
Ah.
But yeah, I guess that's fair. Like for the next point, like are you planning on, since you obviously don't need to rest from what you just did, you just going to make your way to the statue in front of the castle or venture into the haunted area behind the castle?
Going for the Berserker statue, definitely. If we feel like we don't need to go rest or anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we can just pick up there next time.
Cool.
Okay.
If you're tracking your statue achievements on BattleNet or whatever, you're at 6 out of 7.
Hooray.
Yay.
You've seen most of them.
Like I have a sneak suspicion that the 7th one is in the haunted ass area.
No, you know where the 7th one is. It's in the front.
Oh, Berserker statue.
Oh, wait, where was the archer statue?
On the top of the cabin.
It's on Echo's house.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
There
Never
is
mind.
No, watch there be an 8th statue, but it's like Avenger or something, and it's the bad one.
It's the ruler statue.
There was a 2% chance I was just going to put 2 archer statues in there and one of them would be fake, but I decided against it.
Yeah, it's the
That's
statue
right,
that
I
lets her
forgot
see
about
everything.
Womp womp. Okay, yeah, my computer's still just like
This is a good
internet.
stopping
What's an
point.
internet? Oh, I say that and now it's like, guess what? You're connected.
Yeah. Well, like, so the whole thing with this area was if you had bumped into any of those plants, that's why I was hesitant to be like, let's just go do that part now.
Mm-hmm.
But because you
Hey.
didn't and because you did notice them and you did successfully not anger them, you were fine. Like, if you took too long on the ritual, they would have eventually gotten curious and gotten closer, but you got there within enough turns.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
In general, my goal is to give you non-combat ways to resolve most of your problems. Because you're not a combat team, and having NPCs fight NPCs isn't fun for anyone.
No.
I would poke the snake with the halberd last week.
It's true, you did. You completely and fairly killed that snake.
I run up and I kick a tree now.
No.
Well, we haven't done any combat this week. I just, like, take the halberd and poke at the vine thing.
No.
You randomly attack the bird.
No. Oh, were the vine things included in the, like, Zoom call with all of the phantasmals?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Most of what they were thinking was, water sun, water sun, water sun, what that, water sun, what that, what that, what that, water sun, water sun, water sun.
Hopefully they heard the we won't attack you or we wish you no harm.
Yeah, the what that was every time you were talking. That was interrupting their intense thoughts of water sun.
Well, I'm so sorry for disturbing them.
They're not the most sophisticated of creatures. And in core D&D setting, they're more aggressive, but in core D&D setting, the gods are telling them what to do, and that's not really the case here, so.
It's also snowy, and that tends to not be as good for plants.
Yeah, like, they've had a rough time. They don't have a lot of energy in them. Like, if you were to hit one of them, it would fall apart the same way the tree does. Like, they have no desire to die. Like, the plants were affected way more than the animals so far, so.
Mm-hmm.
If you had just wandered in like those other guys did before this happened, you would be attacked by plants, and it would probably suck.
Ooh.
But yeah, so that's our fun stopping point. We'll pick up next week closer to the castle. You'll get to see the last statue, and then maybe you'll get to lead a menagerie into war, depending on what happens.
Yay!
You know, those level 3 druid dreams.
Oh, geez.
Lead a pack of wolves to attack a tree.
Gonna do bard shit, I guess.
I inspire you. You're the one in the back playing Immigrant Song when she rides in on a giant wolf.
Except all she has with her is a kazoo.
Well, that's
also-
why it's amazing.
And I am a wolf. I'm not like riding a giant wolf. You're riding me playing Immigrant Song on the kazoo.
That sounds like this party.
Kwaku's just in the back with his face in his hands, like, oh my god, what a...
Look, Kwaku knew what he was getting into when he suggested this party. And to credit, you did help him a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he was going to probably be turtled up in the back of that train until he absolutely had to go. And it would have been a worse situation without some people playing cell phone troll.
Oh no, has someone actually done Immigrant Song on the kazoo?
I don't see it on the kazoo, but you remember those rubber chickens?
Oh no.
I like how your mic is peaking enough that I'm just assuming you're screaming.
Giggling, yeah.
Alrighty, well, I'm going to stop all this recording stuff. If anyone wanders through these in the future, leave us a message and let us know you did. So, hooray. Thank you for watching us wander through the snow and not fight plants so that we can get ready to fight the biggest plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.